as we discussed, these three empires, they were on the decline. At the same time, we see the rise of Mahmud of Ghazni. तो ये देखो, बस हिस्ट्री वेट कर रही है बस हर चीज का ना, सब कुछ कनेक्ट हुआ आज हल्का फुल्का लेवल पे. अगर हम बात करें जैसे रोमन एम्पायर, इट्स डिक्लाइनिंग इन वेस्टर्न यूरोप. सिमिलरली गुप्तास वर डिक्लाइनिंग इन India. Trade and commerce started getting hampered. We see development of the feudalism model in Western Europe. In India, we see the rise of Samanta system. In between, India और Europe को कौन सा region connect करता है? Arabs. Arab region cover करता है. Here we see the rise of Islam. Islam is rising at the same time. Okay. So when Islam was rising, eventually it started spreading to different parts of the world. It reached India's borders by the early 8th century, but it could not go further because of lack of political vitality of the Arabs in this area. Then we see the phase where we see the rise of three empires in India, and these three empires, Palas, Pratiharas and Rashtrakutas, are going to continue till the end of 10th century. Simultaneously, let us see Arab में क्या specific changes होते हैं. तीन नाम याद आप लोग याद रखेंगे. So the Arab empire in Central Asia, it has eventually collapsed because of its various weaknesses. One of the major kingdom which emerged out of this Arab empire, it was known as Samanid kingdom. So क्या बोलते हैं? Samanid kingdom, which also eventually brought down, and several independent states rose by the end of 10th century. Same time period लगभग. In 963, Alaptigin was one of the Turkish slave. All these Turkish people, they used to be slaves. ये अरब्स के slaves की तरह होते थे. And they used to be given higher designation once they used to earn it. So he was Turkey. He has served the Samanids as their governor in Khurasan. He took the control of this city, which is known as Ghazni. है ना, हम सब यही बोलते हैं ना, Mahmud of Ghazni. So this city of Ghazni, for the first time, it was captured by Alaptigin. इन्होंने इसको capture किया था. ये आप याद रखना. So first name we have to remember among these Turks, it is Alaptigin. Okay, that is one we have to remember. But eventually he died. After his death, three successors came to power, but they could not be able to control the nobles. And eventually we see the rise of Sabuktigin. Sabuktigin हमें इसलिए याद रखना because Sabuktigin, he was the father of Mahmud. Sabuktigin, he was the father of Mahmud of Ghazni. Okay, Sabuktigin, he initiated the process of southward expansion also. That is also important. He started this process of coming towards India, which was eventually taken to the next level by the Mahmud. Sabuktigin initiated the process of southward expansion, which included fighting with the Shahi dynasty. This is known as Hindu Shahi dynasty, which was controlling the areas of Afghanistan, and their most famous ruler, it was Jaipal. Okay, Jaipal, and then his son, eventually his name was Anandpal. उन दोनों को defeat किया जाएगा. So Jaipal, he fought with him. When Sabuktigin died, in which year? 997. At that point of time, Mahmud, he was in Khurasan. तो जब वो खुरासान में थे, तो his younger brother Ismail was given the charge. But as all of us know, ये सब महमूद मानने वाले तो थे नहीं. So then he defeated his own brother. Ismail was defeated in a battle, and Mahmud at that age was 27. Okay, he ascended the throne. He also get the investiture from Caliph. है ना, तो ये Caliph हम institution आप याद रखना. When we discuss the Delhi Sultanate, तो वहाँ पे एक बहुत important role play करता है the institution of Caliph. So he got a robe of investiture. उनको एक title भी दिया गया, Yamini Uddaulah. It means right hand of the empire. ये इनको title दिया गया है, Yamini Uddaulah. Okay, and जो word, as all of us know, from this time onward, the Hindu word है वो बहुत ज़्यादा use होना शुरू होता है. Why? Because from this time onwards, India और बाद में काफ़ी ज़्यादा relationship develop होगा. So as India was Hind, all the Indians, they were given the title of Hindus. और जो word है ना, जो हमारी इंडस रिवर है, तो हम क्या बोलते हैं? सिंध एरिया है. द रिवर विच फ्लो थ्रू द सिंध एरिया, इट इज नोन एज सिंधु. सिंधु वर्ड की जो प्रोनाउंसमेंट थी, वो अरब्स को क्या करते थे? उनको हिंदू. तो कहां से हम कहां पहुंच गए? दिस इज हाउ इट इज. द रीजन इज सिंध, the river which flows through this region, it is known as Sindhu river. Okay, and then from Sindhu river eventually we use the word Hindu. तो इस तरीके से ये change होगा. That's why Hinduism is not a religion, it is a geographical term. Whenever somebody asks you why do we have lakhs and crores of deva devti, है ना, इतने सारे देव कहाँ से आ जाते हैं हिंदुइज्म में? So it's a geographical term, and since it's a geographical term, no one deity is having that kind of an authority which can supersede others. Okay, in fact there are many characteristics of Hinduism which we have already discussed. इसमें एक सबसे famous term आती है, that is कैथनोथिज्म. जो हमने डिस्कस भी किया था जब हम वैदिक रिलीजन को पढ़ रहे थे ना, हमने डिस्कस किया था ना कैथनोथिज्म. इट मींस दैट ऑन एवरी स्पेसिफिक डे देयर इज वन स्पेसिफिक डेटी विच इज सुप्रीम. जैसे मंडे है, मंडे महाकाल का दिन है, राइट? सो शिव जी बिकम्स प्राइम. इट डज नॉट मीन द अदर गॉड्स आर नॉट गोइंग टू हैव देयर ओन स्पेसिफिक पूजा, उनकी पूजा चलती रहेगी, बट आज के दिन सबसे ज्यादा किनको दिया जाएगा? शिव जी को. दैट्स व्हाई ये आप हमेशा एक्सप्लेनेशन याद रखिए. ये क्वेश्चन इंटरव्यू में हर दूसरे बच्चे से पूछा जाता है कि व्हाई डू वी हैव सो मेनी गॉड्स एंड गॉडेसेस, है ना, इतने देव देविया क्यों हैं इतने ज्यादा इंडिया में? तो रीजन बहुत क्लियर है. इंडिया इज मोर, जो वर्ड यूज करते हैं, इट्स अ ज्योग्राफिकल टर्म, एंड सिंस इट्स अ ज्योग्राफिकल टर्म, हिंदुइज्म इवेंचुअली नो वन सिंगल गॉड इज डोमिनेंट हियर. सो मेनी आर देयर, हर किसी के कुल देवता है, और करते 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 पता नहीं कितने पहुंच जाते हैं. नाउ Mahmud is known for only one thing, and that is his military campaign. When he came to power in 997, he said, "I'm going to raid India every year." हर साल रेड करूंगा. ये मैं प्रण लेता हूँ ना, लोग ओथ लेते कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की, इन्होंने इंडिया में आने की ओथ ली थी. And whenever he came, he targeted Hindu temples. Now try to understand one thing, और ये कंसेप्ट मैं आपको यहाँ इसलिए समझा रहा हूँ, इसको आपको समझना पड़ेगा, इसको पॉलिटिकल मीनिंग मत देना. Whenever we talk about medieval India, हमारी पॉलिटिक्स थोड़ी सी डिवाइडेड रहती है. And what is that politics is all about? The temples were destroyed by the Islamic invaders as well as some of the monarchs like Aurangzeb. अब इसकी एक चीज समझने की कोशिश करो. Temples were institution which were also providing political legitimacy to rulers. So destroying of temples was also a kind of political act. It was not just a religious act. It was also a political act. And number two, specifically for invaders, temples used to have a lot of money, a lot of gold. So they were easy. They used to think of them as like banks. So we should not see temples only from religious point of view. See it from the point of view of outsiders. For outsiders, what do they see? उनको क्या दिखता है? उनको दिखता है यहाँ पे क्या है? पैसा है. Wealth. Wealth is stored in the temples. Like if you go to temples like Tirupati. Tirupati is having humongous wealth. है ना? और जितने भी श्रद्धालु लोग हैं भगवान को चढ़ावा चढ़ाए जा रहे हैं. What will the trust do with it? Some of this is going to be in expenditure, कि जो भी activities है normal उनको maintain करने के लिए, but rest whatever is left, it is going to be stored either in the treasury or it will be given to the banks. तो इस वजह से temples के पास पैसा बहुत ज्यादा था उस टाइम पे. So for any kind of person who is coming from outsider, उनका एक ही objective है, I will raid and I want wealth. सबसे easy target क्या है? Temples. Why? 100 लोगों को 150, मतलब 100 भी कम वर्ड यूज कर रहा हूँ, आप हजारों लोगों को लूटोगे अलग अलग घर में घुस के, उससे अच्छा एक जगह चलते हैं जहां पे हर चीज का मिक्स हो जाए. एंड दैट वर टेम्पल्स. दैट्स व्हाई डोंट जस्ट सी इट फ्रॉम द पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू ऑफ रिलीजन. यस, it is also there, religious aspect is also there. If somebody is going to prove it to others that our religion is supreme, yes, they may damage your religious institutions, okay, at least temples, but at the same time these two things were also important because temples were providing political legitimacy to rulers of India, and if they have to break this political legitimacy, तो किसको break करते थे सबसे पहले? Temples को. And this is something which you need to understand, okay. ये न्यूज़पेपर्स में ये चीजें नहीं आएंगी, बुक्स में भी बहुत अच्छे से नहीं समझाया जाता, बड़े याद रखना, बिकॉज जब हम जस्टिफाई करते हैं सम ऑफ द एक्ट्स ऑफ औरंगजेब, अगेन देयर वी कम आउट विद दीज थिंग्स दैट पॉलिटिकल एंड इकोनॉमिक ओके factors also played an important role in the destruction of temples. It was not just about religious institution. तो मिडिएवल इंडिया की हिस्ट्री को मॉडर्न हिस्ट्री के तरीके से मत देखना बंद करना पड़ेगा. आज की डेट में if somebody is destroying a temple, it is more of a religious issue. It is not a naturally politics में तो इंडिया की आज भी खत्म हुआ नहीं, चाहे वो टेम्पल हो चाहे वो मॉस्क हो, दैट इज अ डिफरेंट इशू ऑल टुगेदर. बट आज की डेट में रिलीजन ज्यादा बड़ा रोल प्ले करता है, because today we are one nation state. In those times we were not one nation state. It was easy for the people from outside to come and raid, at least in these times when the central authority it was becoming weak. That's why all of you please इस चीज को ध्यान रखना. It targeted Hindu temples that were depository of vast treasures. Okay, though the motive was to loot, there was also a military advantage in demolishing these temples and smashing idols. So they viewed it also as a demonstration of the invincible power of their god. So yes, religious factor did play a role, but it was not that only religious factors were there. Political, economic factors were also there along with the religious factors. तो जब भी हम आंसर लिखेंगे उसको होलिस्टिक तरीके से लिखना पड़ेगा. It can't be seen from only one point of view. Religious passions of Mahmud's army expressed itself in slaughter of infidels, plunder, destruction of the place of worship. However, there is little evidence of any large-scale conversion to people to their faith, because they used to come for some time and then they used to go back. तो ऐसा large-scale conversion हमें महमूद के टाइम पे ऐसा देखने को नहीं मिली है. Okay? Then he even defeated the Shahi king Anandpala. Jaipala was defeated. After Jaipala, his son Anandpala came to power. Anandpala was again defeated by Mahmud. Okay, and then he went beyond Punjab, penetrating into all the way up to Kannauj and Mathura. And as all of us know, his last raid, this was directed at the temple of Somnath. Okay, this is the most infamous work which is done by this person. And many scholars argue that these plundering raids were more of political and economic character than of religious chauvinism. This is something which all of you should ingrain. जो हिस्ट्री को देखो इसी तरीके से ही लिखना पड़ेगा. When it comes to politics, तो दुनिया बिल्कुल अलग है. Politics is something different, but when you have to write academically, this one point that I have highlighted, please remember that these were not just religious acts, they were also the political as well as economic acts. That is very important. His raids indeed fit this pattern, though through his memory went into the creation of communal divide today. आज तो divide कर देते हैं उसके नाम पे, okay, but उस time जो भी था वो हमें जानना चाहिए, and that too from the point of view of secular eyes. Turks relied on a permanent professional army. तो इन लोगों के पास professional army थी. It was trained. While on the other hand, when we see from the point of view of India, India by the end of or the early 11th century, it was not having professional people in the army, and that's why this was a time it was easy to loot and plunder us. It is often said that they have taken around 20 million dinar worth of spoils when they went from India. जब इंडिया से वापस गए थे इन 1025, इतना सारा पैसा ये लेके गए थे. Rabindranath Thapar also comes up with a nuanced kind of explanation. He says that कि जब ये चीजें हो रही थी, okay, then Indian sources are completely silent. Indian sources are completely silent. Please just read these 2-3 lines. That those who had suffered from this predatory invasion seemed to maintain a curious silence about them, as Hindu and Jain sources available on Somnath expedition do not corroborate the detail or the viewpoint fight in Arab Chronicles. So same information हमारे sources में absent है. Such plundering raids were economic in nature and communal character was attributed to them later. They represented the kinds of disaster that were inseparable from the contemporary warfare and the usual plundering nature of rulers of medieval period. So it was not just about any one specific community against the other. These were political and economic acts. That's what we need to understand from history point of view. Then after his death of Mahmud, we see rise of people like Ibrahim. Then this area of Ghazni, okay, was eventually going to go towards the shift. So जो Ghazni area था eventually will be taken over by people like Muhammaduddin Muhammad. This area of eastern Afghanistan, which was known as Ghazni, which was creating the Ghaznavid empire, was bound to downfall by the end of 12th century. तो इनके जो last ruler हैं, that was taken over by Muhammad, and the last ruler, उनका नाम क्या था? खुसरो. He was imprisoned and murdered in 1192. उनको खत्म कर दिया था. And that's why the last dynasty, okay, तो की dynasty है, Ghaznavid dynasty है, it will be taken over by the Ghurid dynasty. The shift is going to happen. As we were discussing, initially the dynasty was Ghazni. Ghazni dynasty बनाने में Alaptagin, Subukhtagin, and finally the most famous ruler is Mahmud. This dynasty continued. By the mid of 12th century, this became weak. Majority of this area of Ghazni, this came under the control of Ghurid dynasty. This Ghurid dynasty को कौन lead कर रहे थे? By the 12th century, it was Muhammad Ghuri. The only area by the end of 12th century, roughly, it was under their control was Lahore. And this Lahore was also taken over by Muhammad Ghuri by defeating their ruler, and his name was Khusro. So बस वैसे तो हम बुक्स में यही पढ़ते हैं, गजनी से हम कहाँ पहुंच जाते हैं? गुरीद पहुंच जाते हैं, बट याद रखने के लिए इजी रहेगा. यहाँ डायनेस्टी बनती है अलप्तगीन, सुबुक्तगीन, फाइनली वी हैव इज महमूद. By the 12th century mid, the Ghazni is replaced by Ghurid. There are some weak rulers of this Ghazni dynasty which are still controlling the area of Lahore. And as we have discussed, in 1192, Muhammad Ghuri is going to execute Khusro. So that is the end. Shift from Ghazni to Ghurid. And Ghurid ही major आगे जाके steps लेने वाली है, which are important for our history. Okay, so as we were discussing, he was Mahmud. He came along with Al-Biruni, who has written the famous text that is known as Kitabul Hind, which talks about mathematics, philosophy, astronomy, and historians consider him as a very important source of Indian history. He translated many texts, है ना, बहुत सारे टेक्स्ट. पहले संस्कृत लर्न करी, फिर उनको शिफ्ट भी किया, स्टडी रिलीजी, फिलोसफर, तो बहुत फेमस इनका काम है किताबुल हिंद. He is considered as the father of Indology, who learned about India in a very systematic manner, who learned about Indian languages, and then only came out with interpretations. He also translated the Greek work of Euclid into Sanskrit, transmitted the Aryabhat's magnum or Aryabhat की जो भी information थी, that was passed by him to the West, and he was the inter-civilizational connect between India and the rest of the world. Such kind of keywords you can remember. देखो ये सिर्फ इंग्लिश और कुछ नहीं है. Inter-civilizational connect. So that is why he is considered as the father of Indology. इनके बारे में पढ़ेंगे. अभी एक क्लास में मैं sources लूंगा. There is a very important chapter which is known as Through the Eyes of Travelers. ऐसा करके एक chapter है अपना. Is given in the Themes in Indian History Volume 2. उसको मैं cover करूंगा, तो वहां पे हम इनको अलग से cover करेंगे sources की heading के अंदर. ठीक है. बट यहाँ के लिए हमें जो keywords याद रखने हैं, like inter-civilizational connect, ये हम लोगों को याद रखना है. Then the next important personality is Muhammad Ghuri, है ना, हमें पता है इनके बारे में. If Ghaznavid invasion were intended for loot, the Ghurid enlarged their scope to establish garrison town to ensure the regular flow of plunder and tribute. तो इन्होंने garrison towns बनाना शुरू किया. Garrison town means areas like Lahore, they were controlled so that यहाँ से पैसा tribute जाना शुरू हो जाए towards the Ghurid. Okay. Through the 1180s, 90s, Ghurid he established Punjab, Sindh as well as Haryana. इन areas पे capture करने की इन्होंने कोशिश करी. Okay. These mercenaries were from these areas. They attracted mercenary. Mercenary means those people who work for money. Okay. So those people were recruited by them as fiscal as well as military officers. He captured Lahore, Uch, Multan, and finally, as a result of this, एक इनका इन्होंने before coming through the upper reaches, he was trying to come through the area of Gujarat, but here he was defeated. Okay, here he was defeated at Mount Abu in 1179. उसके बाद उन्होंने अपनी पूरी जो आपकी वो थी स्ट्रेटजी जो थी मिलिट्री स्ट्रेटजी उसको चेंज किया, And finally, as all of us know, the most famous battle was fought, and that was the Battle of Tarain. But before understanding that Battle of Tarain, we should know about few of the Rajputs. And there were some Rajput dynasties. So as we have discussed previously, Pratiharas and Rashtrakuta lost dominance by the 10th century. By the end of 10th century, new Rajput dynasties emerged. Okay, there is again a very big debate on what are the factors responsible for the rise of Rajputs. बहुत बड़ी डिबेट है उसके ऊपर, क्या ऐसा राइज है, हम बाद में बात करेंगे, बहुत हिस्टोरियंस ने अलग अलग थियरीज दी है उसके ऊपर. But in general, those Rajput who were ruling people, that includes Tomars from Delhi, then we have Chauhans from Rajasthan or the area of Ajmer. Eventually, they are going to defeat the Tomars, and even Delhi will come under their control. Solankis from Gujarat, Pramar from Malwa, Gahadwala from Kannauj, and Chandelas from Bundelkhand. These were the important dynasties. And the word Rajput, it comes from a Sanskrit word Rajputra, which means the son of God, no? A son of the king. Then the prominent rulers like from Chauhan, the famous ruler includes Prithviraj Chauhan. You can even remember about Vigra Raja. Pramar dynasty, अभी हमने बात भी किया था about King Bhoj. Gahadwala में we have Jayachandra. Why Jayachandra we are going to remember? Because he is going to be one who is going to be defeated in the battle of चंदावर, है ना. हर किसी को सेकंड बैटल ऑफ तराइन तो याद है, कौन सी बैटल नहीं याद रहती? चंदावर. वो किससे फाइट की थी? जयचंद्र से, बिकॉज दे वर रूलिंग फ्रॉम कन्नौज रीजन. चंडेला डायनेस्टी, यशोवर्मन एज वेल एज कीर्तिवर्मन. व्हाट वाज द स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ द राजपूत? सबसे बड़ी स्ट्रेंथ थी राजपूत की देयर मार्शल स्पिरिट, करेज, ब्रेवरी, समथिंग व्हिच दे वर नोन फॉर. बट द बिगेस्ट प्रॉब्लम विद द राजपूत इज दैट दे कुड नॉट स्टैंड टुगेदर व्हेन इट वाज required, and since that did not happen, it became easy for the outsider to come and fight with them. We cannot say that these people were not skilled in the methods of warfare. Why? Because in the first battle of Tarain, Prithviraj Chauhan, he was able to defeat Muhammad Ghori, and somehow his life was saved and he went back. But the very next year he came back, and the second battle of Tarain had a very specific impact on India, and eventually from there on, from 1192 onwards, things were bound to change. North India became a specific extension of the Ghurid Empire after the second battle of Tarain. Thereafter, the expansion started. Areas like Kannauj, they were taken. Simultaneously, areas like Bihar, Bengal, Bakhtiyar Khalji played a very important role. And by the end of or the beginning of 13th century, we see whole of North India coming under their control. At this point of time, there was an important personality, Qutbuddin Aibak. So Aibak was the one who was looking after this extension of Ghurid Empire. वो देख रहे थे इसको. अभी तक ये दिल्ली सल्तनत बना नहीं है. It is not independent. It is an extension of Ghurid Empire. And who is the major ruler of this? The major ruler is Muhammad Ghori. Muhammad Ghori is the one. And this situation continued. So first he defeated Prithviraj Chauhan. Then he defeated the Jayachandra of Kannauj, and this is something which you remember. And this scene comes in 1194, and this battle is known as the Battle of Chandavar. UPSC asked a basic question: that the battles of Tarain and Chandavar laid the foundation of Turkish rule in India. So yes, that is absolutely correct. But when somebody says laid the foundation of Turkish rule, it means you have to talk about expansion process. You have to talk about institutions which were developed. All those things are going to become important for that. जयचंद्र ऑफ कन्नौज, राजपूत किंगडम, हमने अभी बात कर लिया इसके बारे में, ठीक है. These were the weaknesses which were responsible for the defeat of these Rajput. Like number one, lack of discipline or lax discipline. ध्यान नहीं देते थे उसके ऊपर, ट्रेनिंग के ऊपर. There is also contention between historians. Like some say they were using elephants, while the major advantage it was with the कैवलरी है ना और हॉर्सेस, तो उन्होंने नहीं किया. थर्ड, इंफीरियर कैवलरी. व्हाट वाज द टर्किश एडवांटेज? सुपीरियर कैवलरी एज वेल एज वेरी रेजिमेंटेड लेवल ऑफ ट्रेनिंग. बाकी भी बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स हैं जो हम डिस्कस करते हैं. लाइक इंडिया वाज अफेक्टेड बाय द स्टेट ऑफ feudalism. If not using the word feudalism, at least the Samanta system had developed. Full-time army was not there, which was there with the Turks. Turks utilized the concept of jihad or holy war, which was something which was non-existent among the Rajputs. And the Rajputs, they were a believer in ethical warfare. Ethical warfare means dharma yudh. They could have easily killed the Turkish armies which were defeated in the first battle of तराइन, बट उन्होंने ऐसा किया नहीं, बिकॉज दे यूज्ड टू फील लाइक कि अगर हारे हुए इंसान को मारना नहीं चाहिए. बट सिंस दे वर वेरी प्रैक्टिकल, द टर्क्स वर वेरी प्रैक्टिकल, दे वर नॉट गोइंग टू बी बाउंड बाय सच काइंड ऑफ इथिक्स इन वॉरफेयर. सो नेचुरली दे अगेन केम बैक एंड द सेकंड बैटल ऑफ तराइन, द टर्क्स, द Rajputs, they got defeated and the Turks, they prevailed. That very many factors they come into the picture. Hi, a very good evening to all of you. Today I have come up with a very important announcement for history optional students. Those of you who are thinking about preparing it for 2025, एक बहुत अच्छा मौका आपके पास उसको अच्छे से लर्न करने का. I am Vikas Selawat. I was able to get the highest score in history optional in 2018, that is 324 marks. I was able to crack into services IRS as well as IPS. So अगर आपको history optional में अच्छा बनना है, few things are very essential. So this course that we are beginning with, history optional foundation outline batch, it has more than 150 sessions. In these sessions, the focus will be on concepts जो कि आपके fundamental रहते हैं. Then the focus will be on answer writing. पढ़ तो लिया लेकिन बिना लिखे outcome कैसे आएगा? So that's why answer writing will be focus of this. Assignment दिए जाएंगे आपको so that you can eventually become a part of it और उसको practice कर सको time and time again. PYQs का compilation आपको दिया जाएगा and then even doubt resolution sessions are going to happen. If you do this much, okay, the beginning of the foundation is going to become finished. And then you can eventually get to the next stage. इस पूरे 150 सेशंस को हमने इस तरीके से डिवाइड किया. 100 सेशंस आर देयर फॉर एंशिएंट, मिडिवल, मॉडर्न एंड वर्ल्ड. जितना भी एनसीईआरटीज है वो सारा क्रक्स आपको इसके अंदर मिल जाएगा. बेसिक जो अपनी आंसर राइटिंग है उसके भी 6 सेशंस होने वाले हैं इसके साथ में. देन मोर देन 30 मॉडल आंसर्स विल बी शेयर्ड विद यू सो दैट यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड कि जब आंसर लिखा जाता है तो किस किस पॉइंट्स को हमने प्रायोरिटी देनी है, इंट्रोडक्शन कैसे करना है, कंक्लूजन कैसे करना है. देन कंपाइलेशन तो आपको मिल ही जाएगा ऑफ लास्ट 40 years. So if you want these kinds of eventual help from our side and then become toppers like them, then आपको सिर्फ एक छोटा सा काम करना है and that is you can register on the sheet. The moment you register, you're going to get a call from our team. Our team going to ensure that आपके पास क्या क्या requirement आपको चाहिए उसके हिसाब से आपको बात करके आपको deliver कर सके. And that's why you have to register and then the team will help you out. Then eventually academic जो consultant है आपकी पूरी अच्छे से बात समझेंगे so that they can give you a tailor made solution for your requirement. तो ये जो चीज है आपको बिल्कुल free of cost मिल रही है. And if you are going to get eventually part of it, you'll understand क्या teaching methodology कैसी है at Prep Career IAS. And then later on, if you want to become part of the foundation course, then you can become so. Okay. So whatever queries you have, just dial these numbers. आपको सारी queries आपकी resolve कर दी जाएंगी. Any kind of problem you're facing for civil services examination, this is your go-to institute for that purpose. ठीक है? So all the very best and I'll see you in the coming videos.